Casper Family Connections was founded in order to provide children who are unable to live with one or both parents a safe and conflict-free environment in which they may have a healthy contact with a non-custodial family.
Yeah, I'm Mike Erickson, born and raised in Casper, Wyoming. My parents got divorced when I was 5, so my parents had joint custody. That slowly digressed into a role of me being the middleman. It was kind of like that old, junior high role of, will you tell person A this, will you tell person B this? And I was the person relaying this information between my parents. Having that supervised drop-off, or the other thing that would have been really nice is to be able to, in a safe environment, sit down with both of my parents, and so they each could hear, how they were affecting me from an emotional standpoint, or what kind of responsibilities they were unknowingly at that time putting on me. They're advocates for the child. They help parents learn how to co-parent. If you know somebody who's going through a situation to where the child is suffering because mom and dad can't talk to each other because there's domestic abuse or anything along those lines, get the word out there. Let them know, hey, you have this outlet. Don't feel like you're alone, because I think that's what a lot of people feel. And maybe they don't want to accept it. Maybe they feel like failures. Maybe they feel something along those lines. But if they don't have an outlet, or they don't know about an outlet to remedy that situation, the problem just ultimately gets worse.
My name is Jessica. I have a 2-month-old little boy. These guys make it easier to deal with him not being home yet. Well, when I first got in touch with him, I thought I was more worried about the judgmental, the side, because all through this process there's been a lot of judgmental people. They have been making me and my son feel very welcome. They put the TV in there and let us watch some cartoons and stuff, because with a little infant there's not really much I can do, but I get my snuggle time. I wouldn't be able to see my son as much as I do. It would be really bad on me in his bonding time because he is so young. They can save a lot of families. People may see it just as visiting, and it's a lot more than that.
Because you're keeping a family unit together,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
In a safe environment.
Yes.
My name's Andy Schaefer. I chose Casper Family Connections because my son's father was serving a prison sentence for drug and alcohol abuse, and when he got out, this was a safe option for him to visit with my son. Mostly it was the people, but also the facility, so it was just very welcoming. The people were kind. They treated everybody equally, no matter if you were the visiting parent or the parent dropping off. And they made sure that I had an opportunity to sit down with them in advance and feel really comfortable about all aspects of the visitation, which is different than what I had experienced at other visitation centers not in Casper. I think the benefits are kind of endless, quite frankly. I think they provided us a safe place to do the visits. They created a bond between my son's dad and him that otherwise could not have been created, not safely anyway. It created a space for me to feel comfortable, but not having to be the person in charge of the visits, because there was a long history between me and his father, and so that created tension. And then also the benefit would be lifelong. For me, we currently do the Parenting Apart group, and I actually got to meet with Christine and Julie and help start that group. And so I'm still involved in it and helping other people get through the system. The facility itself was not set up the same. They didn't have the same safety mechanisms for me as the person who was having to drop off my child. So then I come to Casper Family Connections, and I realized very quickly that there was a whole world in this arena that I had not experienced, and I was pretty shut down when I got here, thinking like it's going to be just the same. So I guess to say that how would it be different, I think I maybe would have never known that there was something worth standing for. So when we moved on from here and had to use a different facility because I had moved again, I was able to stand up for myself and for my child. I was able to say, you know, these are things that another facility was doing that I'm not seeing here. So I think if I hadn't ever stepped foot in here, I would have never known better and never known that there was an option for a place that actually cared about all the parties, not just the two people that were sitting in the visitation room. Other facilities that I had used lacked a safe place for pickup and drop off. That's my number one. So when I was doing the visitation, I had a restraining order, which made it to where I could drop off, but we had to do things at separate times. I had to make sure that we never crossed paths, and that was for everybody's safety, not just mine, but you know, the whole group needed to be safe. And so a lot of them did not have, separate doors. I know Casper Family Connections has you drop off at, one parent drops off at this time, and then the next parent comes however many minutes later, so that you're never crossing. And the other facilities that I had, I would often walk in, and he would be like right in the living room waiting for me, and for me, that would set my anxiety through the roof, and then that would create anxiety for my son, and then they would just never go as well. So that was great. And then also they have separate rooms for the visitation, and the supervisors sit outside of the rooms, which creates more of a normal environment for the kids. The other places that I had used, the visitation supervisors would sit like at the table with the visiting parent and the child, and it almost created like a family type thing, which was kind of upsetting to me because my son was creating bonds with the visitation supervisors instead of the visiting parent that he was supposed to be. So those are probably the major ones, but I think communication, Casper Family Connections is really good at communication. They try really hard to keep everybody in the loop. And then they are just kind in general. I think they empathize with the people who are here, and they want to do better. They want everybody to leave here. They want the family to be able to co-parent on their own. And I think that some of the other facilities I had been to maybe didn't have the same goals, or maybe didn't have the same knowledge in order to pursue those goals to get everybody safely out of supervised visits.
It takes a village to raise a child and a community to keep them safe. Don't you want kids like me to stay safe?